Perfect. Yeah, if you could put that in the Lyceum, okay. I think we're live already. Yeah, it says we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lyceum podcast. Obviously, things are changing. By myself this time, kind of not by myself. Obviously, I have some guests here. We're going to be going over some current events and some key issues. We might have some different disagreements, but mostly it's going to be chill. Things could turn into a debate, but it doesn't have to. Obviously, we could be more so just fleshing out each other's beliefs, but at the same time, we're all trying to figure out what is reality before us. Okay, so my name's Pedro. Black Hammer of God is what the internet has deemed me. Honestly, I lean right. That's what it is. But I am not America first. While I love America in this country, I'm actually the Bible first. That's where you're going to find all of my foundation of all my morals and my universal beliefs come from. Joining us, we have Alex and Zolt. Hey, Zolt, why don't you talk first and tell people who you are?
Yeah, so people who obviously follow my channel know who I am, but I go by Zoltanis, Zolt, or Zoltan. You can even call me by my real name, Shandon, if you want. Uh, I usually do political content on YouTube, Odyssey, and BitChute related to like fascism, which is a hot button topic. And I also talk about anything that's kind of like dissident alternative politics. So it's not really mainstream.
And what about you, Alex? What's up? Tell us who you are.
So my name is Alex Kirsch, and I am I wouldn't say I'm as much a content creator, but I actually have a YouTube channel called the Alex Kirsch Project. And I actually did a panel last Saturday about the withdrawal of Afghanistan, but I also have a podcast called Depth of Perspective, where the truth has no bias. And on that podcast, what I try to do is I try to bring on people. I pick a social issue, whether it's in the United States or abroad, and then I'll bring a guest that is either a subject matter expert or somebody that actually has direct experience with this topic. I've talked about, for example, I interviewed Annie Lobert, who talked about the sex trafficking industry. And I also brought on people to talk about what it was like, what it means to be a neo-Nazi and no longer a neo-Nazi, or not real, just a white supremacist in general. So I try to find a topic that I feel is important that people need to know about, and I'll bring somebody that understands these topics. So
Cool.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to have you guys on. Thanks for accepting an invite. And I think we
Absolutely.
should just get right into it. So the big thing, I think you guys saw it because we chatted in Discord. We're friends on Discord.
Sure.
Did you, by any chance, I think Zolt, did you get the link? Did you see what we're trying to talk about first today?
I did not see it.
Okay, it's controversial. And
Oh, boy.
it's kind of good. You might have the raw take here. Alex, did you watch the Hodge twins give their little spill on it? Okay.
I did.
All right. So letting in the audience now, what pretty much happened was Turning Point USA had a rally, right? So who cares what type of rally it is? The meat of the situation is that there was a certain individual who came there, and because of their, past life, their actions that they have done that obviously, I would deem uncouth or sinful, they kicked her out of the event. It's the adult film star Brandy Love, right? So my outright opinion on this: should she have gotten kicked out of a conservative event? Let's go. Mine would be yes. Zolt, what about you?
Oh, geez.
I know, right?
I mean, as far as conservatism goes, modern day conservatism's kind of Caitlyn Jenner and stuff, so I don't know. But if you want to be like an actual conservative, like follow Christian values, and yeah, she shouldn't be there.
She shouldn't be there. Okay. I'll challenge that in a second. And then Alex, what about you? What do you think?
They can kill whoever they want to. Do I think they should have? That's kind of hard for me to say, honestly, because it's interesting how they're quick to kick somebody out just because of her occupation. But I kind of look at it like this: she might have actually been able to bring something to the table that people may not have actually seen. I mean, I look at it like this, for example. If you're going to look at her profession where she has sexual intercourse on screen, she gets paid money for this. Does this really mean that she's necessarily like her politics? Like, for example, all we could know is that for the conservative base, she could be pro Second Amendment. She could be pro life. She could hold a lot of these conservative beliefs that people could have. And because she's a very well-known figure, there's a lot of people that might vote conservative that actually would see her as like, oh my God, I relate to her points of view. And if she was to be welcomed into CPAC, that would actually probably draw more audience to her. But at the end of the day, should they have kicked her out? That's entirely their decision. I'm not going to tell them what they should or should not have.
Okay. And then background really quick. Zolt, even though I already know the answer, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Are you Christian?
Not really. I was raised by a Christian family, but I'm not.
Okay. And then Alex, are you Christian?
I was raised a Christian Scientist, but I would consider myself more of a non-denominationalist. I don't really go to church as much anymore, but I'll be honest, I pick and choose my favorite parts from the Bible to go by.
You pick and choose. Okay. So you just, not to say in a bad light, but you pick what you deem you want out of it. You don't really subscribe to it wholly. All right. So you know me. I'm a Reformed theologian. I'm a Calvinist. I subscribe to the 1689 Westminster Confession of Faith. Right.
Okay, that's fair.
And if I had to give a real take on this, I think the problem is, no, this is not what Christianity teaches, right? We're not supposed to be affirming this kind of behavior. But at the same time, I think solidly to what does Ephesians 2 say, where it talks about where we once were and where we are now, right? And that kind of leads you on how we're supposed to be treating one another. And the whole kicking somebody out because of their past actions, I harshly disagree with. Can you guys maybe state why I might disagree with that?
I do know in the Bible, there's actually a lot of people that Jesus forgave that followed him that were actually very, very bad people in the past, but they ended up becoming the Jesus. So like if she was actually open about being Christian and conservative, you could probably make the argument, especially if she denounces like the porn industry, but I don't know everything that she thinks. I don't know she does, because like the current GOP though, they have a lot of people in the party that don't exactly follow those types of values openly.
But she could change, right?
She could, but at the same time, like the GOP also has people like Caitlyn Jenner in it, which really aren't good. Really isn't a good person either.
And this is where the hypocrisy comes with me, because who's that one? There's one guy who promotes homosexuality in his relationship, and they actually have him on stage as a speaker, right?
Oh yeah.
Alex, what do you think about that?
Well, who they have on as that's homosexuality?
It's it's a black guy. I think his name's Rob Smith. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I really don't follow.
I don't know the person. I don't know that person. So
no. Okay, let me see if I can Google an image of him. But I really don't follow Turning Point USA, and I really don't even subscribe to conservatism as I read more about it, or republicanism, because as I hear these discussions more and more, it's either when they say we're Christian or we believe in the foundations on which the whole Constitution and the Declaration of Independence was actually written. When they say that, and then you put them to task, like you guys could put me to task, I really don't see them actually thinking or saying the things that our original founders actually said or thought themselves, and even furthermore, what the Bible taught. Do you guys get that sense at all?
Well, I look at the founding fathers as ordinary men that did not know everything, and therefore they believe that at one point times are going to change. Like, for example, I'm not saying that everything needs to change. I'm simply saying that at one point during the time the Constitution was written, the way society ran is way different from what it is today. For example, back in the times of the Declaration of Independence, they actually declared war because taxes were too high against tea and sugar and stamps and whatnot. Nowadays, taxes are much higher. You obviously don't see people declaring war based upon that, let alone the fact that these same people that are talking about how, well, we need to retain these same traditional values. but yet they're not very specific about what traditional values they're actually following by. What
I
traditional
totally
values,
agree.
yeah, what traditional values are they talking about?
They
But
should. What, or the better question would be,
Mhm.
what traditional values should they be talking about?
Sure, what should they be talking about? I mean, what would they
The
be
Bible.
yeah, well, okay, aside from the Bible, I mean, what do they mean by traditional values by the Bible? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, people keep saying the nuclear things like, or here, actually, yeah, Zalt, I saw you unmute yourself. I'll give you a chance to speak. What do you think?
Yeah, just kind of like referencing the traditional thing right there. Even within the context of the United States, you have some segments of Christianity, specifically like very traditional Catholics, including like Orthodox Christians, which you don't have to agree with them on everything. Even in some cases, high Lutherans or Anglicans, and a lot of them make the argument the United States it was based on liberalism from the get go. So how we got to modern society was basically there in the first place. You don't necessarily need to agree with what they're saying, but also when it comes to traditionalism, if we think about the philosophical school of traditionalism, people like Rene Guénon were like, who's like one of the founders of it was like a Muslim. So his appeal to traditionalism was like with Islam and like perennialism, and people like Evola, another one, was a pagan. So his view of traditionalism was like a pagan societies that was pre-Christian. So it gets even more muddied if you actually ask me, especially when you're using those terminology, because it's going to differ depending on the person. And American conservatism, like when they appeal to like American traditionalism, they tend to take bits and pieces. They don't look at the entire picture of what America actually is. I can think about it when we compare neoconservatives to paleoconservatives, which is what like the America First people are. They have a very different understanding of what America is and what a neoconservative is. If you kind of get what I mean.
Right. But aren't these conservatives in Turning Point USA calling themselves Christians? And
They
don't Christians rest their faith
they
in the
call themselves
Bible?
cultural Christians, so like they don't
There we
necessarily.
go.
Yeah, that when they say cultural Christians, like America and Western civilizations culturally Christian, they don't really want to pass a policy or base it completely on Christianity. Of course, like paleo conservatives will make the argument that because the culture is culturally Christian, the government should take an active role in kind of like supporting it passively, I guess you could say. But
Okay.
then you
So
have all
so
kinds of different arguments on how the Constitution, like separation church of state or not, and all kinds of other stuff.
But and this is where I would agree with you when you said the point where they are cultural Christians, meaning I'm not trying to pick on you, Alex, but a cultural Christian, if I had to say, was somebody who just wanted to not really submit to the Bible, right? They just want to pick and choose where they see fit, correct?
You could say that, but I speak only for myself in that regard. I don't speak for everybody else because
Okay. Yeah.
what I'm saying is like I feel that nowadays a lot of people pick and choose what parts of the Bible to draw inspiration from, and this is not necessarily a hit on anybody. I just think it when I look at the Bible, right, there are certain parts of the Bible that I just really honestly can't go with. And whether it's the Old Testament or maybe even the New Testament, I mean, I can't draw like direct quotes right now. I mean, I would have to like flip through it,
But
but
it's
it's
funny
just
you say, that there are certain parts of the Bible,
Mhm.
because there is, like, if you were to just take a second and take a breather, and if you even just Googled it, even though I would not say do that, I would want you to know these things through study and in depth.
Mhm.
Pertaining to this specific situation with this woman,
Mhm.
you have a perfectly parallel story with Jesus himself in John chapter 18.
Mhm.
Do you know about that story?
You'd have to remind me.
No worries, no pressure. So
Yeah.
John chapter 18, woman is about to be persecuted for adultery, right?
Mhm.
What does Jesus say before they try and stone her?
Those
It's
without
a
sin
class.
go those without sin cast the first stone.
Perfect. Okay. And what does that go? What does he say after the whole trial is done? Like
Go
once
forth and
everybody.
sin no more.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what does he do there? He actually is making a pathway to redemption, that
Mhm.
this Turning Point USA event that's supposed to be conservative, and those conservatives usually call themselves Christians, they directly come into contradiction with the text. Why? Because they're not approaching it in a loving or thoughtful manner in any kind of way. Is that fair to say?
That could definitely be fair to say, but I just look at her. I look at all of humanity nowadays as fallible people capable of making mistakes, where we have the ability to make mistakes, and therefore, like it, I kind of like weigh the factor of the mistakes. Like, for example, if let's say, for example, you take a woman that might be in the porn industry, but she pays her taxes, she has a family, she teaches her children to go to school, they get straight A's, and she contributes to the homeless. Sometimes she might go to a soup kitchen. I would say, like, some things like that might actually outweigh her job as a. Now, this is my personal opinion, okay? I'm not drawing this from the Bible. I'm just saying that I think that, if I was to draw any real spiritual contrast from here, that God might, she's a porn star, but look at what she does. Look at how many lives she changes in this day. I'm not saying that there are people out there that are like this. I'm simply saying that she chose a certain profession that she enjoys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that when it comes to the porn industry, that's a whole different topic right there. But she might be a person that actually prescribes to a lot of the beliefs that, Jesus might hold. This is just one that's not necessarily one that he goes along with. However, maybe Jesus might overlook this one because of how she is on a day-to-day basis. Now, if she cheats on her taxes, cheats on her husband, cheats on and does all these really horrible things, that might be a different story. That's only my perception. I mean, that's kind of a hypothetical. I mean, I don't know if that really answers your question. So,
No worries. Zolt, you're a big guy on historical correctness. I think the way we had in our fascism discussion on Politically Provoked, I feel like you would be a person who would do their best to do the text justice. And I just have one question to you. Mm-hmm. In Christianity, from what you know about it, are we supposed to be doing what Alex might be seen doing right now, which is affirming or promoting transformation?
So I think it would be promoting transformation, and you would be using social pressure to probably push her towards transformation, but probably not like actively where you have like the government doing it, more like community pressure. As far as she goes, somebody actually in my Telegram posted a tweet from her. She was accusing Turning Point USA of being groypers, apparently, in response to it. Being run by groypers. She was accusing of being run by groypers.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I would just stick the concern to why is it that, Alex, I ask you, where in the Bible do you see us coming to this person? And when I would say Turning Point USA, once again, is wrong for kicking her out, right? But if you had to ask me what I would do, I would do the Mike Pence rule, approach with my wife, and then I would, give a humble conversation, ask how you doing, and then say it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you here, and then see if I can, proselytize to her. See if she's on the R, because she's at a conservative event already, right?
Yeah.
There is a possibility that this person is trying to change, because the picture you painted in that whole scenario you gave, while it may be sunshine and rainbows, it's not actually Christian.
Okay. Well, if I was running the whole thing, I would have brought her in, honestly, because I think the optics would have, and if some people would have gone against it, that would be my personal decision, and I would own up to that. Because if there is somebody that's willing to attend my event, especially somebody that has high visibility like her, that actually could probably bring more attention and bring more people in that might watch her content, as you might put it. And that actually might bring more people. But maybe she might bring something that I had never really considered as to why is it that she is at my event? What brought her here? What views does she actually possess? Because I look at the person in the holistic sense. I don't just look at them just because we might agree on something, because there might be somebody that I might invite to my event, or I might have an open event, right? And I just say, come on, and I'll have these different guest speakers. And somebody might come in that I may not necessarily agree with, but they might actually deliver a message that it might draw people further to my cause, which I think Turning Point might have actually kind of missed out on us. Actually, I mean, and I know
Well,
they.
well,
Go
this
ahead.
is the part where I have to disagree again
Yeah, that's fine.
because you're now this is very good. I'm kind of glad you're saying this. You're being very honest because there are people out there who would claim the moniker of Christian, and then there are part of groups like this, and they would look at it from the optic standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Sir, if I had to be totally honest with you,
Go ahead.
to hell with the optics. What's going to happen is I'm going to be caring about the person. You hit it kind of slightly, but then you faded away from it really fast. I'm concerned about where she is spiritually and mentally right now. The reason why I would be only asking why she is there instead of one of, a left side rally is because are you thinking about changing your life? Are you having those deeper thoughts about what is my purpose here? I would be asking those kind of questions. And then ultimately, obviously, it's going to come to, are you thinking about your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? But that's for another time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Zolt, do you think it's a fair picture that I'm painting that's separating what I would call biblical Christianity from cultural, or in this case, conservative Christianity?
I mean, yeah, I do think there's a different. I think what you're going with is like usually what people throw at Calvinism for like a scriptural literalism, I believe is what they say. So like you're taking it very literal. So I guess if you compare it to modern conservatism, I guess you could. But modern conservatives are pretty big on. They're kind of rooted in classical liberalism. So like even when they talk about like cultural Christianity, uh, a lot of them aren't willing to pass policies related to it. Maybe at one point they were, which is why things like gay marriage were illegal, but nowadays they definitely aren't. That's why they have people like Caitlyn Jenner in the party.
Yeah. And then this would be my last part on this, and then we can get to the video because I actually wanted to take you guys through This Week in the Culture. Do you know what that is?
What was that again? This Week in the Culture?
Yeah, it's by Fleckus Talks. Have you guys seen those videos
I know
before?
who I know who Fleckus is, but I didn't see that part.
I didn't see it either.
Okay. Also, here, let me share this really quick because
Yeah, I know who Fleckus is. I kind of like his content. So
yeah, what's a coomer?
What?
Somebody watches a lot of porn.
Somebody who watches a lot of.
They call them coomers because they're like they're coming. That's why they call them that. They call them coom cells too. Is all they do is watch porn.
Never heard that term before ever. So
it's internet slang.
I'm learning a lot of stuff when it comes down to like internet talk. Like when people say based, I'm like, what does based mean exactly? I'm like, what does that mean?
It means eben.
What
it means what?
It's German for epic.
German for epic. Okay.
That just goes to show my German sucks. So, I mean,
okay. Chrome tab. Then share. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, I see it.
Oh, okay, so this is the guy from earlier that we were trying to peg right here.
Okay.
This guy is how do else I put it? He's engaged in homosexual activity, right? But they kick out the porn star and they call themselves Christian. And then at the same time, they promote that this guy is a good representative enough to actually, represent the platform and be not only just there but a speaker. It makes zero sense to me.
So here's my very, very unpopular hot take on this. First off, it's because I think it's because it's a male and because he is black, honestly. Because they know that if they grab this guy, it's gonna be great optics for their panel. And I know it's a very
this is
yeah, that's just the way I'm looking at it right now. And I might be 100% wrong, but that's just the first thing that I would see right there. It's just because, holy shit, we've got a guy that is black, and then we got a guy that is gay as well. Oh my God, this is just going to do great things for us right now. We'll ignore everything else. So
it's the optics game, right?
Yep.
And what gets me is, okay, so you gave this guy a chance and you gave him a place to speak. you obviously listen to him for a second, but then you look at the random tweets of people calling like her a clown or something like that, and then out of nowhere we're supposed to, oh yes, you're Christian. It's a slap in the face really to the faith, because it speaks nothing of forgiveness, nothing of redemption. It's affirming one thing and not affirming the other, and talking nothing about transformative grace. It's pretty nothing that entails the actual Christian faith that the Bible teaches. And it irks me every time when people claim the title or claim the tag of Christianity, and then they start doing stuff like this. But yeah, I'll leave that there. I don't want to make too many enemies. Yeah, let me go to Rumble. Yeah, let me go to Rumble here, and then.
Oh, French Bulldog. There we go. Yay, doggies. I love dogs.
Okay. Yeah, this happened. This was the crazy thing. I'm gonna kind of pause through it, and then Zol, actually, for a second, can you give us your political beliefs really quick? Because I thought it would be funny to take you through this and then ask Zolt in your domain if you had, your nation, is this illegal or legal?
What policies specifically?
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Alex, where do you stand?
I am a registered independent, but I lean left.
You lean left. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, interesting. I mean, on the political compass, I'm in the very far left quadrant, but I'm like super conservative. Like it says fascism on it every time I take it, but it also has me pretty close to Stalin too. But
Stalin?
Well,
geez, what are you talking? What are you? Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you conversing with?
Well,
I don't like Stalin though. I hate him.
Well, that's why I don't like taking those quizzes, though, because I think they're very dishonest. Because this is like, there's a reason why I believe what I believe, and the reason why I became a registered independent was because of Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura is who drove me to be an independent, honestly. And even though I swore up and down I would never vote Democrat or Republican again, this last election proved different, which I voted for Joe Biden. So, and I'm very honest about that. So,
okay, let's hit play on this. Let's see where we go. Let's see how crazy it gets.
Send it. I don't hear anything.
Can you guys hear it?
No.
I cannot hear it either.
Still nothing.
Still nothing?
Still nothing.
Oh, man. Rookie moves. Here we go.
It's all right, man.
Todd said, here, watch this. Todd says he can't watch this. Let me stop.
Is it on YouTube?
Huh? No, it's only on Rumble.
Okay.
Because they abandoned the platform after it started getting stupid in here.
Okay.
But my idea behind that though is you should just go everywhere and keep preaching the truth where you can. That's where Todd's gone. Okay. But yeah, dang. I guess we're gonna have some technical difficulties and we're gonna have to not be able to do that portion of it.
So I'll do you a favor though. I'll talk to you offline, Pedro, about it. So,
gotcha. It's because you know how to figure it out, probably.
Well, no, it's not just that, but it's like I just can't figure it on my end right now. But I'll try to do something for you. Okay.
Okay. Zol, what is? If I had to ask, it's going to be nuclear, but be careful, please. What is a fascist? If you had to sum it up in 3 solid sentences.
Syndicalism, actualism, plus nationalism. At least that's what you would get from many of the academic sources. So this is probably going to be a little longer, but syndicalism in the context of Italy, it was related to trade unions. Trade unions in Italian mean corporazione. Corporazione translates to corporation, which is where Italian fascist corporatism came from. So it's when trade unions run the economy.
Okay. And give us the definition of syndicalism again?
Syndicalism is, if we're talking about anarchist syndicalism, it's where trade unions and syndicates are controlled by workers and they're kind of put through federations separate from the state. Syndicalism that's related to nationalism is usually when these trade unions are nationalized by the state and they're integrated into the state. So they become a state body. The Soviet Union did something similar with worker councils, which is what they functioned on, which was on a federation system.
Okay. And then would you say, I know this is kind of a leap, hop, skip, leap, and a jump, but would you say Trump was in any facet of the lens of fascist?
I would say in 2016, some of the nationalistic rhetoric could probably be perceived that way, but overall, no, because he was coming off more as a paleo-conservative, which is fairly distinct. They're more culturally right-wing, and they're also more economically right-wing.
Paleo conservative. I keep hearing that. Alex, do you know what a paleo conservative is?
Nope. I'm going to be very honest. I have no idea what paleoconservative means.
So I would look up Patrick Buchanan. He was probably one of the bigger paleoconservatives. He ran against Bush back in the 90s, where he was framing a culture war against the left and also using like nationalistic tones to get into office. It ended up failing, and a lot of the stuff that Trump did during 2016 and 2020 was kind of a co-opting of a lot of the rhetoric, which is why you saw a lot of the Groypers kind of jumping on it, and they were calling themselves paleo-conservatives too.
Okay. Would Mitch McConnell be considered a paleo-conservative?
No, no. So during the 1980s, you had this thing called the neoconservative movement. The neoconservatives were started by people like Bill Kristol, for example, and Mitch McConnell was a part of them. Ronald Reagan was a part of them.
Okay. Wait, one second. Just the reason why I threw that name out there, it's like a dartboard. I'm just trying to get a fix on it. Who would you say right now, paleo-conservative, like by far, that's active in politics and is elected representative right now?
The closest one to that would probably be Ted Cruz. DeSantis in Florida would be another one. Those are the only ones I could think of.
DeSantis?
Yeah, those are the only ones I could think. Yeah, DeSantis. Those are the only ones I can think of elected in office.
What about Tom Cotton?
I don't know who he is. I know most of the GOP though can be called neoconservative, and then you have some of them that are also called rhinos, which means they're leaning towards liberals. But I don't like using that term because neoconservatives tend to be similar to neoliberals on economic policy. And most of the Democrat Party is neoliberals, besides like a small radical social democracy wing.
And then would a paleo-conservative like actually like look at the Bible and be like, yes, this is the tenet, this is the standard right here, this is where all my morals are drawn from?
Most of them would take that position. In America, a lot of paleo-conservatives nowadays tend to be Catholic, though, which they have a little bit more of an extreme take, especially on this, because like, some of them will say like, ban porn, for example, something that
for sure ban porn, yeah,
it's like something I agree with, but that's something they would say. But like if you would take some conservatives like neocons, they would say you can't do that at the free market usually. It's usually they're usually the ones that oppose tech since using legislation to go against big tech too.
Okay. All right. Cool. Nice. Well, I kind of got gunshot in the foot not being able to play my audio. I bet Rumble's just not recognized by YouTube. They don't have any kind of like partnership or something like that. So it's obviously not going to mellow well. But I bet if I played something off YouTube, it just click right away. Yeah. And then how much time do we have left? I only got 40 minutes. Oh, perfect. Only 7 minutes left. So we actually filled the whole thing up. Do you guys have any like final thoughts or anything like that? So I can close it actually.
Well, I really do. On what?
Yeah. On the we can just stick to the situation that Turning Point USA had. What are your final thoughts on that situation?
I honestly think that, like I said, I would have looked at the big picture. Bringing someone like her into the fold probably would have done the same amount of, it would have brought them more attention had they brought that one gentleman on. Because at the end of the day, right, the GOP needs to understand something. In 2012, right, when Barack Obama and Mitt Romney were going head to head, Mitt Romney was very staunch about being against gay marriage, and he was also very staunch about, against DACA and immigration. But then President Obama capitalized on that by basically making it legal to marry gay couples across the country, and then also implemented DACA to where people that had been living in this country for quite some time, and it actually, that's what propelled him to win his second term, because after that he received a huge amount of support, and that's what helped him actually win the election. Now, people can argue whether he actually meant it or not, but I would say that was a strategic move based upon Obama's part. And Mitt Romney then afterwards tried to, maybe I might be a little bit more, but after that, he kind of lost a lot of support. So honestly, I feel like the Turning Point probably could have taken full advantage of that situation and could have brought her into the fold as well and could have gotten more views for them. I mean, I look at it kind of like an optics point of view. Now, but at the end of the day, should they have turned her away? In my personal opinion, no, they shouldn't have, but they can do whatever the hell they want to because it's their platform, not mine. So I do think that she should have been given the opportunity to have a voice there because she might have some ideas that most people don't. But if maybe one of these days we could talk about the porn industry. I don't know. So we can have that conversation someday.
No, I don't see why I would need to talk about the porn industry, honestly.
Yeah, like kidnapping people.
Should be purged.
Well, we can talk about that too, Zoltanis. I mean, that'd be a good panel someday. So,
yeah, I don't think anybody really agrees with that. Kidnapping people for videos on Pornhub.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about.
Is that real?
People they had people getting kidnapped and sex trafficked. And
okay,
the videos were getting
we can talk about the
sex
trafficking
to the
industry.
fire.
We could talk about the sex trafficking industry, but we're talking about people that are actually consenting, 100%.
Oh yeah,
not people that are not forced into it. I mean, that's a different story.
Oh yeah, I know a lot. They've been under some backlash recently because they had over, I think it was like 40,000 videos that got removed that were from like sex trafficking and rape, and they still haven't been. And it was during their court case, so it's kind of like
that was Pornhub. That was Pornhub. I do remember that lawsuit. So.
Yeah, whole thing to the fire, in my opinion. Okay, Zolt, your turn.
I mean, if they're going to be consistent with calling themselves culturally Christian and conservative, the gay black guy wouldn't have been there too. So like they're just hypocrites, and it is an optical thing that they're doing it for. It's kind of like the token like black like gay dude, I guess. That's all I got to really say.
Right, and then I would end it on the message from Christianity is to repent for your sins and come to Jesus Christ. And the underlying fact in all that is that we are all, sinners. While we have video of, what she's done, I bet if we put cameras in everybody's lives, not everybody else is going to look so innocent either. So it's not really a moment where you should be judging someone. What should have happened was, preferably, a man or woman who's strong in the faith comes to her and asks her, why are they here? Why are you here? And they delve in further, and they obviously see that she is turning conservative, which more than likely she was liberal, and trying to make a change in her life, and ultimately ask if that change is based in Christ or not. So yeah, always extending the hand of grace would be my opinion. But yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for watching, everyone. We're going to close this and shut this down. And you guys have a good night and come back and watch future presentations here on this channel, Lyceum Podcast, Renormalization. I'm your host, Pedro, and I'm out.